I know I messaged you about it when we came across it, but I don't know when it happened. I think you told me you'd painted the calipers. Most of the time I assume that gets done on the car. However, the issue we found is because when we dropped the rear cradle, the right rear brake line goes over or under the cradle. So when you take the cradle down, you have to disconnect this brake line, which is kind of stupid, but they have a universal little fitting that you can disconnect there at the cradle. But also ultimately that brought us into having to bleed all the brakes when we put the trans back in. So but you don't just bleed the one you worked on, you have to bleed everything. So we started in the back, come up here, and then I go to crack the bleeders loose, and they're not where they should be because air goes up. So the bleeders should be on the top of the caliper. They're on the back, I'm just for reference. But yeah, the bleeders were on the bottom. So the calipers are identical except where that fitting goes. So there wasn't anything wrong. The left and right are the same, just depending on where that bleeder is drilled into is what makes it a left or a right. But ultimately the brakes, the front calipers were on the opposite side that they belong. So I didn't drive it before really because the car was broken but when it got here, but I'm quite certain you're going to be overly pleased with the brakes performance now as well, because bleeding from the bottom, when there's an air bubble trapped here and the actual brake line comes in more in the middle, there's inevitably going to be air in that pocket that you could never have bled out. So now with that all correctly laid out, I'm certain we got a better bleed on the brakes than it's had since whenever that happened. So the brakes feel very well, feel incredibly good as well. Also because you have the stainless lines and whatnot. But that was another thing that we found and corrected.